Story 1. My mom just passed away unexpectedly. She was my best friend, and I am having a hard time adjusting to life without her. Thank you all so much for the kind words and for sharing your losses too. It is comforting to hear from others who have been where I am now, and it gives me hope that it is not always going to hurt like this, and that one day I might be able to think of her and smile instead of falling apart. Thank you all. Story 2. I recently turned 60. It was by far my most difficult birthday. For the first time in my life, I am seriously considering my mortality, and I'm having some difficulty accepting that I will be dead sooner rather than later. I find myself fantasizing a lot about going back in time to when I was, say, 10 years old and doing it all over again. What would I do differently? Certainly, I would choose a different career path. Would I go to the same college? Would I pursue and eventually win over again my wife? So many forks in the road of life and paths not taken. It's almost overwhelming. I've had a fantastic life and few regrets. I try to keep myself in shape. I want to see my grandkids get married. I'm not religious and really don't think there's anything waiting on the other side. Story 3. I'm 25 and currently fighting cancer. Thanks for all the kind responses and words. Reading all of them brightens up my day in these darker times. Also, thanks for sharing your stories. I'm glad to read that so many of you who had cancer beat it. It gives me more hope to beat my own cancer. Story 4. I never actually feel well. Between the chronic fatigue syndrome and chronic pain, it's been a long time since I had a day where I really felt good or healthy. Story 5. 64 years, spent a total of 35 years in jails and prisons. All of it on me. No education, no savings, yet I'm making ends meet after getting out on a 21.5-year sentence for bank robbery. So here's the catch. I freaking cry all the time, secretly, privately. Haven't been on the streets for 3 years straight since I was 13. Story 6. I'm 38 and I'm making more money than I thought I would be at this point. But with my house, my car, taxes, 3 children, groceries, bills, and everything else, I am making it month to month barely. I have no savings. We don't have enough to go out to eat. We don't have enough for anything extra. On paper, I'm doing well. I'm grateful to be a homeowner. I'm grateful for my kids and family. We are not frivolous spenders at all. Money just is tight, and I feel like I'm one hardship away from financial ruin. Story 7. 41-year-old male. Getting a divorce after a 10-year relationship. Everything is new and scary, but also a bit exciting. Selling the house and I will be living alone for the first time in a decade. Lots of adjustments to come. Story 8. I am 43, nearly homeless, and have been abused physically and mentally by every person I have lived with for the past year. I have no job, no car, no money, and nowhere to go. Beyond my dogs, I have no reason I am still alive. Story 9. I want to write more, but my job at an Amazon warehouse leaves me so exhausted that it bleeds into my days off, and I just can't focus and think because I'm so tired. Story 10. I'm 48 years old. I'm homeless, mentally unstable, and being pursued by a group of racist teenagers. I'm living in fear right now. The last one is something I never thought I would have to deal with, not even in 1,000 years in my life. Story 11. I am 44 and having trouble living in Sydney, Australia, with a middle-class income of $90,000 as the sole income earner for the household, feeling like we are living on the poverty line. Edit. Thanks for all the Cake Day well wishes. I actually had no idea when it was. Story 12. I am 50, about to complete my first bachelor's degree, and do not know what to do with it. I constantly ask myself why I went back to school. I hate every minute of it, but I hate leaving anything unfinished, and I just want that diploma. Story 13. I am 26 years old. My biggest challenge right now is finding a job. I have a job, but it involves shift work with 12-hour shifts, 2 days, 2 nights. It is not for me, so I have been looking for a Monday to Friday job, and I have applied to over 70 different jobs, but still no luck. I had a few interviews, and I had a couple of job offers that just did not work out. Everything requires a 4-year degree, and I only have my 2-year diploma from college. I wish I had stuck it out and finished the full 4 years at the time. Story 14. raising respectable and trustworthy boys. My wife and I have built a strong family core, and family is incredibly important, but making sure our boys make the right decisions, aren't socially awkward, and find good friends weighs heavily on my mind. Story 15:13, horrible chronic illness and related slew of mental health issues. But I'm pushing through it. I went to school all day today. Yay me, I guess. Story 16, I am 30. I am trying to get pregnant and stay pregnant. It is by far the hardest season of my life so far. Just found out I am 4 weeks. I am absolutely terrified to go through another miscarriage. Story 17. Not exactly right now, but since last year when I lost my dad, hearing someone say, Mr. my last name, and realizing it's me now and not my father anymore. Story 18:26, trying to have hope that I can own a home and have a family when there is a housing crisis and insane cost of living. I guess as a kid, I always assumed such a normal life would be possible, but now it seems so out of reach. I feel like I will be having fertility issues by the time I am financially stable enough to start a family. Story 19. While growing closer to someone when dating, integrating two separate adult lives in a way where we can make time for each other is proving to be immensely challenging. We each have our own schedules, routines, and responsibilities. Carving out time for one another in a way that doesn't upset the careful life balances we've each curated, but also allows for continued growth in the new relationship is a real logistical challenge. Currently 0 for 3 on promising relationships over the last year or so. Story 20. I am 28 and experiencing severe chronic pain, with the very real possibility that I'll never work again. I don't know if I'll ever walk normally again or even have a pain-free day. I'm very stressed about renewing my marketplace health insurance plan and getting removed from 2 of my medications, which are very expensive and always a nightmare to get approved. Story 21. I'm 43. I have 2 teenagers and they are incredible, but big kids tend to have bigger problems and it's hard to watch them struggle and figure things out. I cannot bail them out of every challenging situation and it really sucks to watch them have a hard time. I miss the days that breastfeeding fixed everything. Story 22. I'm going to graduate college next year, and I have no clue if I'll have a job when I do. Every single field is saturated and I'm trying my best to get experience, put my portfolio together, and keep my grades up. But I'll be damned if it isn't hard to stay positive in this economy. Took me 2 months to find a fast food job and we get calls every other day asking if we're hiring. My cousin graduated with an engineering degree and she was thanking her lucky stars that she was only unemployed for 7 months even though she started applying to jobs halfway through her senior year. It feels kind of like I'm just doomed no matter what I do. Story 23. What am I doing with my life? Is this really the career I want? Do I want to get married and have a child? The clock is ticking, and I don't have the answers. Story 24. I found out yesterday that my father passed away by himself, all alone, and was most likely dead for approximately 2 weeks before being discovered. Now I'm his next of kin, trying to figure out uncharted territory without him having a clear plan in place. Story 25. I turned 23 12 days ago and completed my first year in America. I was unemployed for the first 2.5 months, and now I've been unemployed for another month because of my work permit. None of the things I planned have gone as expected, but I'm still going. I feel a bit of a lack of confidence and hopelessness, and I can't seem to do much about it. But I'm trying. Not trying my best, but I'm trying. Being alone with no friends is hard. Story 26. 52. Feeling mentally 30. Watching parents with their kids leave the house, and facing a larger social structure that is ageist and not quite up to speed on how different Generation X is with respect to how they should view us and how we view aging. We are not boomers, which we are often lumped into, nor do we view ourselves as classically old. Yes, we are experiencing unavoidable aspects of aging, but we do so with an anti-system, anti-mainstream spirit. We understand things in a way prior generations could not. We have a deep understanding of technology, are typically in positions that drive it, and are active participants in evolving trends of social change and challenges, all under the perspective of having seen culture shift from its pre-internet state. Our brains are wired very differently, and we remain a unique middle culture that sees the world for what it has become. We have ideas, but we're also tired of the nonsense. We're the unwilling adults in the room that often try to fix deeper issues from within, without the fanfare and ego of modern culture. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll go back to producing video games and remembering no one will read this 1,000 comments down. Story 2737, and just realized that I have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, mast cell activation syndrome, and postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Have had signs since childhood, but did not put it all together until now. I cannot walk properly and use a walker. Bummer. Currently in the grieving process. Story 28. If I were in your shoes, I would imagine dealing with the stress of balancing all the daily responsibilities, work, studies, and relationships. The most important thing is to remember to take care of yourself and not be afraid to seek help or support when you need it. Sometimes, simply talking about your concerns can lighten a significant burden. Story 29. I'm 21 and determined not to get swallowed by the easy path of wasting my life, playing video games, and endlessly scrolling through negative content for 10 hours each day. Story 30. I am 37. I have wasted my entire adult life trying to figure out what to do in life. So I have been spinning my wheels while my family and peers buy homes, get married, have kids, work careers, travel, and do interesting things. The only thing I know for certain is I do not want kids. Story 31. I know it's a privilege to have this problem, and I'm beyond grateful I can afford it with the help of my amazing parents. I have no idea how people on a minimum wage even survive. The prices of everything are just insane. I'm talking about rents, food, everything. And I'm not from the United States. Story 32. Not going to say my age, but just going to leave this link here to hotlines to call if you are in a bad place mentally. Wishing you all the best physically, mentally, and spiritually. Story 33. I'm turning 25 tomorrow, trying to figure out what I want to do with my life in terms of love and location. I moved back in with my parents last year, and it's been rough sleeping on the couch and getting charged rent without having a room or place to set my clothes. I work in home care assistance, and my client passed away 3 months ago due to an accident while another caregiver was with her. So I am between jobs until they find me someone new. I'm still having to pay rent and am slowly finding myself in more and more debt. I've applied to various jobs with no luck. I have a teaching degree that needs to be paid for and is unused, even with my high grade point average and experience in private schools. I've resorted to selling my items cheaply on a marketplace. I literally just sold my video game controllers with accessories for $15, brand new, and my 2 favorite purses as a bundle for $50. Story 34. Just turned 20 and just got out of a 4-year relationship, so that's going to affect me for a while. Trying to focus on school and studying while balancing friends. Story 35. 43. Homeless, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, major depression, anxiety, end-stage liver failure, and pretending this is going to get better somehow. Also, school. Other than that, possibly loneliness. Accepting that this is not going to go well kind of sucks. Story 36. Getting into dating. I have been very negative about myself for most of my life, and trying to seriously believe someone could like me enough to meet people has been tough. Story 37. Age 23. The biggest challenge for me currently is figuring out my future. I know what I want to do, and I'm going to pursue it soon by going to college. But the future job hunt is what's worrying me. Story 38. I'm not telling my lady about my surprise getaway vacation for her birthday that I'm planning. I've been teasing her with Instagram reels of snowy vacation stays. She hates cold weather. Story 39. Mystery abdominal pain along with back pain that appeared in September and won't go away. I've been to multiple doctors and have had tests and imaging with no answers, and no one seems particularly motivated to find out what's going on. This makes me very disillusioned with the medical system. Story 40. My biggest challenge right now is having any sort of motivation. I graduated from college over a year ago and couldn't find anything for a job, so I'm still working at the same food service job I've worked at all throughout college because it's better than nothing and sadly still pays better than a lot of jobs I've seen listed on job searching sites. I work hard when I'm at work, but when I'm at home, I'm just too burned out to feel like doing anything. My room is a huge depression nest that I keep wanting to clean up, but I really just don't have the motivation before or after work. I just want to lay in bed. Story 41. I'm 25 and currently struggling with feeling behind in life and constantly beating myself up over it. I have no driver's license, no car, no job, no marketable skills, and no reliable transportation to a job. I am essentially stuck with no real way out and have been isolated for so long that I've developed some pretty severe anxiety. Story 42. I'm 30, and my biggest challenge is figuring out how to not live paycheck to paycheck. I have a decent job in a good field and also have a second job. I work on weekends in the security field, yet I still live paycheck to paycheck. Story 43. 65. Diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer. Had a positron emission tomography computed tomography scan last week. Saw a urologist today. My options are surgery for removal and then radiation or chemotherapy, or just radiation or chemotherapy. Story 44. 26. Putting my education and sanity before money. I haven't had this predicament before. I just quit my job that paid me the most I've ever had, which still wasn't a lot. But yeah, I was crying every day for months after being there for 4 years. It used to be the best job. I used to bring in cookies. It was laid back with great people I've met, but at least 20 of them have quit or been laid off. The company became very toxic in the last 2 years. So far, this is definitely the hardest my life has been emotionally, and I've been through a lot. I can't save much money right now with my new job, but it's easier with fewer hours. It goes by fast and lets me have more time for myself. Hopefully, I can make some money on the side by selling my art.